Hello, my name is Jay, and I'm going to be taking you through this new single meter voltage, power, current, 7-inch high half rack, 600 watt for sputtering. And I'm going to show you the operation of the front panel under a couple of different conditions. So let's go ahead and turn power on. Now when the power supply powers up, you'll see there's this LED lit here, and this is telling you that during power up that the meter reads the power output of the power supply. If we depress this button, the meter will read voltage. If we depress this button, this tells you the meter is reading current. So let's start out in the voltage mode, and we'll go ahead and turn on high voltage on. So high voltage light comes on, and you can see that even though we're in the power mode, it is voltage regulating because it has hit the limit of the capabilities of the power supply at 1000 volts. So we're looking right now at the voltage meter. It's voltage regulating even though we're in power mode because it's hitting the limit. And now let's look at what the power is. The power is 355 watts, and the current is 355 milliamps. Obviously 355 milliamps times 1000 volts is 355 watts. Okay, now let's show you some fault conditions. Let's have an interlock open. That is an interlock fault, and we will reset that fault, bring the power supply high voltage to 0, and then turn it back on again, and then we reapply, and again we have the 1000 volts. Now I'm going to adjust the load so that we can see a change in the load. Okay, we applied a much heavier load, and now let's go to power regulation, and we're going to turn on high voltage. Now you can see we're at over 600 watts, a little bit over 600 watts, and you'll notice that both of these LEDs are lit. When both of these LEDs are lit and the word power is sandwiched by both of those, we're in power regulation mode. So let's look at what the voltage is. Voltage is 785, and let's look at the current. The current is 775 mils, and altogether that makes about 610 watts, 611 watts. Now I can adjust down this voltage for the reference for the power, and we can see the power being reduced. And of course with that we can see the voltage being reduced because we're in power mode. And we'll turn the power back up again, or around 600 or so. And now we're going to put a little bit heavier load on and go into current mode so we can show you what that looks like. Okay, we're back. Now we applied a much heavier load that would not allow the power regulator to work even if we were asking for it, and not allow the voltage regulator to be in control even though we were asking for it. So we're going to go ahead and turn high voltage on, and you're going to see there's only 500 watts being output, but it's in the current regulation mode. Why? Let's push the current button, because we have 1000 milliamps, 1 amp. So even though you're in the power mode, you've hit the current regulator limit, and that will be in control. Let's look at the voltage. We're 509, 511 watts, and 1 amp. Now we're going to put a dead short on the power supply and see what happens when we do that. Okay, so now we're back and we're looking at the power supply under the conditions of shorted output. Maybe the magnetron is failed, or it's shorted, or there's a high voltage cable that's shorted out that has failed, or some kind of other connection inside the chamber has a problem. and we're going to turn on the high voltage and show you what happens to the power supply when we do this. So we're going to apply high voltage right now, and you see it comes up, tries to make an attempt, and then shuts down. Now, why did the power read 0? Let's look at the current while we do that. Put on the current meter, turn high voltage on to the dead short, and we see that it tries to make current and it can't do it. Alright, so let's look at the voltage under those conditions. We have 0 volts, dead short on the output, so it faults off. And that is to protect the power supply, but also to protect any of your equipment. It'll make an attempt for about a second or two, and then it will say, okay, we have 0 volts and I have full current, there's something wrong. And that's it. That's the tour. Thank you, and High Voltage Concepts signing out.